I like to talk about all things relationships, from love to business and beyond, holistically, and I like to put it in the context of our modern time. I just hosted an online summit where I interviewed 40 experts on the subject of relationships, and especially looking at the challenges and opportunities of our time and how it influences and impacts the way we relate, the way we engage with one another and interact. And I tried to combine the condensed version of my coaching practice and the summit into one powerful mindset shift that I want to leave you with that will positively transform your relationships for the rest of your life. And there is a critical moment in my life when it made all the difference. And it takes place in our apartment in Germany. I am on the kitchen floor and I am making myself as small as possible. I am physically protecting my heart from the pain that enters emotionally as my partner informs me of the decision that he's no longer willing to invest. This is the end of our relationship. I feel as if someone is pulling away the floor underneath me and I'm falling. My brain is trying to hold on to plans and dreams and hopes, but there's nothing to hold on to, no plan B. I am breathing, and I notice I am talking to myself like an observer telling me what is going on. So I take that as a win. I'm not in a state of shock. I am present. I just need time. As all the inner voices speak all at the same time, the questions, the worries, the blame, the shame, all at the same time, I notice I need to tune down a few voices. So let's hear from the first voice, and obviously that's the inner critic, reminding me of the irony of the situation. I just started Modern Couples Coaching 6 months ago, my coaching business where I support individuals and couples, entrepreneurs in particularly, to create meaningful, resilient relationships in their life, learning about the art of conscious relating. And here I am at the end of my relationship. Oof, that hurts even more. I feel shame coming up. I wonder if I can even continue my business. Can I share this story? Okay, this voice is not helping me in this moment. Let's hear from another voice. And this voice is pointing out that this is a critical moment in my life and in many other people's life where they decide that the pain is so unbearable in their heart that they'd much rather close up, build a wall, never ever taking the risk again of letting someone in that deeply. Carrying that trauma until the rest of their life. I don't want that. Okay, what to do? I hear another voice reminding me of all the time and energy that I invested into understanding my own mechanisms, my nervous system harmonization, as I'm doing right now. My skills on the conscious art on relating. And I notice, okay, this is a moment to walk the talk. There's only so many moments in a lifetime that you get actually to put the theory into practice. This is a moment to show up. Okay, so leaning into this situation, what does this mean? I try to find out about concepts, like how can we do this? We are writing the last lines of our chapter together, and I want it to end in grace. And I don't have a concept for this. It feels as if I need to tap into my own creativity. And I hear almost like an outer voice, I like to believe it was my future self, that tells me, if you want to stop falling, you need to rise to the occasion. And so it is a year later that my ex and I sit together in a podcast, actually, where we talk about the last year, our journey of conscious, mindful, heartfelt, authentic uncoupling. And we look back in pride, having inspired friends and family who had never seen such a thing possible. And and then also the clients that were inspired from our journey together. And I noticed how for some of them, it didn't always end in a breakup. Sometimes it led them, to a deeper connection. So it was an inspiring story, and it still is. And if you think about it, where do we learn about the art of relating? We are humans. We are social beings. So there's nobody programming into us, like this is how you behave in a certain moment. We observe, and then we decide, do we want to do this or differently? We learn from our parents, we learn from first-time experiences. For example, when we show up in the business world, our first job, our inner observer takes notes about the do's and don'ts, about how much of my personality can I show. Am I safe here to show emotions? And the inner observer takes notes, almost as if you were to write a manual about how to relate. This is how to relate with Marcella. This is how to relate. We each carry our own manual, how to relate and how to be in relationships with others. This manual carries our beliefs, values, traditions, our love language, our patterns, our wounds, our traumas. And we each carry our own individual manual, and in our day-to-day, we might end up in a situation where we are, in a misunderstanding. And somehow we don't exchange these manuals amongst each other. So we just sit there, tension, how do I navigate from there? Would actually be smart to exchange these manuals, but it's a lot to read. A lot to read, yeah. Who of you thinks that relationships are hard work? Yeah, and I mean, I get it. I just shared the whole list of things to consider. There was a moment in my life when I was doing my coaching training, my relationship therapy training, all these things about personal growth and inner development, and I thought, if I keep thinking that relationships are hard work, I'm going to carry an extra weight on my shoulder. And actually, in my day-to-day, when I go out and interact with people, I notice how all of a sudden I have a new sense of freedom, of authenticity, or people open up differently to me. We are able to drop to essence faster. So I feel the reward, and I notice how it almost feels like new flavors in life that I get to experience. So what if relationships are the flavors of life? And we all love sweet moments. But when you bake a cake, you embrace the salt as it brings out the sweetness even more. And then if you taste something bitter, that feeling of you need to get used to the bitter. And once you taste umami, you love umami. So we are living in a time when many of us like to optimize all areas of life. The supplements that we take to optimize our nutrition, the sports routine that we do to optimize our body. We optimize our sleeping environment to get that restorative state. We optimize our calendar to make use of every minute of the day. We embrace the hustle. We want to succeed. We want to optimize our life to energy and time. When it comes to relationships, they are complex, unpredictable at times. When a situation occurs where we see tension or potential conflict, our subconscious evaluates quickly. Do I have time for this? This was not planned. And do I want to be in this energy? No, maybe the short-term return is better if I do something else. Actually, I don't want to be in that situation. But what if this situation reminds you that relationships are an invitation to grow? And this is a moment to lean in, because relationships very often unfold their power mid to long term. It's the mid and long term returns to focus on. In this situation, it might be that you notice, this triggers me because there is something in my relationship blueprint to explore, or an invitation to learn something about conscious relating. So over time, you get more and more return into leaning into these moments. What if relationships are a necessity to solve the challenges of our time? in such a moment, if I am not able to take out the drama out of that situation and rise to the occasion, then how can I expect that on the global scale of things, they are able to take out the drama? After all, we are all humans. We all feel the pain, wishing that the politicians are up there on the global scales of things, that they are able to rise to the occasion. We see an ever-increasing divide of parties not being able to talk to each other, walls being built up, and we suffer in that observation. I want to live in a world where we remember what it means to be human, social beings, meant to relate, meant to interact, meant to inspire each other to rise up to the occasion. We are living in a world where most of us have learned to specialize and become expert in their area of interest, and that is great. But we are trying to achieve alone what was meant to be for the group. So if you are in a group setting, or even with your spouse and partner, and you feel overwhelmed, frustration, like what to do in this? I don't have time for this. I want you to remember that most of us invested more into our career skills than into our relationship skills. This might be a moment, an invitation for you to lean into that, an invitation for growth. Find out about your relationship blueprint. Find out what is triggering you. Find out about the art of conscious relating, learning to understand the other person rather than be right. When I look into the future, I have one investment advice to give. I know that money will decrease in value. I know that crypto will cause gray hair and wrinkles. And I know that relationships will yield the highest of return in terms of trust, safety, and belonging, which are only the foundation to everything else that you want to build in life. What if the next moment that you feel triggered is an invitation to remember that relationships are the flavors of life, an invitation to grow, and a necessity to solve the challenges of our time? Relationships are the currency of the future, and it's time to invest.